live. I believe we're live. 10 seconds already. We thought we were. All right. Well, good evening. And we're going to wait for people to join us because I'm Sandy Schoelles and this is Jennifer Hynes. And we are absolutely thrilled because we are coming on just after Head in the Box, Brian Weinstein and Paul McGinley, who were lovely enough to go on at 8 o'clock because we planned this for 9 and we didn't go on last night because we were both so tired. So tonight we have a pretty cool show. I just want to make sure we're online and I can pin it to the top of Facebook. And if anybody would like to share it, go ahead. And Jen, we always have these little quick things to make sure that the picture looks good. And I guess it doesn't look too bad. I might have to fix yours a little bit, but we have these green screens. So thank you, Brian. Thank you, Paul. Tonight we have a very interesting show. The video created tonight is to give some levity and lightness and laughter at the ironic ridiculousness we find ourselves in, right, Jen?
Oh my God. I feel like I've entered a forked reality. I mean, there's like somewhere out there, there's a reality where this whole thing didn't happen. And as much as we really tried not to talk about the coronavirus, which we're actually going to talk about tonight,
but in a different way, a little bit of different way.
We were trying to talk about anything but the coronavirus. And so, last week we talked about the mosaic, but no, the coronavirus got too powerful and we have to talk about it. So we're going to be talking about the coronavirus and climate change and, tying all that stuff in.
Yep. And I have a great video. Let's just see who's here. And let me get this screen straightened out. Hi, Mindy. And hi, Basil. And hello, Jeff. Oh my gosh, Karen's here. Karen's, I'm supposed to go to her house next week, but if I get into the car and go from point A to B because, I have to stop because I can't drive from point A to B more than a certain amount of time without getting out. It hurts. Bio's here and CB is here. So, and Dale is here. Great. Keith Boyd. I am so happy to see all of you. Tonight,
that's great.
I hope you all have the popcorn because, again, we do have a video, so and it's a longer one. It's a bit longer one, and then we're going to go into climate change and coronavirus, and we have some articles about that from different venues, and Jen and I'll tag team, and we will converse because this is something that I think about all the time. Wow, with being interested in the global, the climate mobilization, that movement, and how they, have plans for local action and all, and why can't we do this for climate change? And we'll talk about those reasons. Jen?
Yeah, that sounds great. Do you want me to give a quick overview of where we are and where we're going to go?
Absolutely.
Just to kind of give people an idea, like this is just a 30,000 foot view about the articles that we're going to cover tonight.
Hi, Sandy. Sorry.
Yeah. First one is from marketwatch.com, and it's called "Why Don't We Panic About Climate Change Like We Do Coronavirus?" That's a very good question. And I think Sandy was talking about that just a little bit ago. And the next one's from insideclimatenews.org, and it's basically called "A Harvard Expert on Environment and Health Discuss Possible Ties Between COVID and Climate." So once again, it's repeating. And then we have an article from insideclimatenews.org, "Coronavirus, Really Not the Way You Want to Decrease Emissions. Cheap oil, lower investment in renewables, and post-virus rebound will likely offset the emissions drop, but there are climate lessons in the response to the virus." So that's kind of gripping. Here's an article from the New York Times.
Did they pay me out? Oh, no. Are you paywalled out?
What?
Are you paywalled out?
What do you mean?
I can't get in. They paywalled
Oh,
me out.
I can get in.
Okay,
I
I
can do the
can't
New
show
York
the
Times
article. All right.
That's
Well,
okay. You find something else
I
to
have a
show?
password, so I'll just try
Oh,
to
do
use
you?
this password. Yeah, I have to find it while we're watching the video.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad has always wanted to make sure I'm well informed, so he gave me a subscription to the New
Oh,
York Times
nice.
online. So I
Nice.
thought that was so sweet of him.
Well, I've got a
Um,
password. Hi, Chicken
yeah.
Patty. Boy, this is a great show. All right.
Yay!
All right, you
So
want to go
this,
ahead?
sure. This one from the New York Times is called Social Distancing. You might be fighting climate change too. This one from Climate Home News. Coronavirus and climate change are two crises that need humanity to unite. That's a good thought. And this is also from Climate Change News in their column called Climate Home News. Coronavirus delays global efforts for climate and biodiversity action. And then hopefully we have time to get this article from George Sarkaklides. How did I say it?
Sarkaklides.
Okay.
Sarkaklides, I think it is. I think it is because it's Greek. It's Greek.
I apologize. Anyway, he has a fabulous picture as just like kind of with paint on his face and everything. It looks very interesting. Anyway, he wrote a blog post called "This Fever Has Been Brewing for a While." And then if we have time, we're going to say something about the video. France 24 is the real threat from France 24. The real threat: will coronavirus confinement fight climate change? And I think that's something everybody's pretty interested. So this is definitely our coronavirus show today, Sandy.
Absolutely, but with a bit of the different, twist. And oh boy, I got to share. We've got a really good group on Facebook and on YouTube. I am absolutely thrilled.
Great.
So listen, guys, sit back, and I want to play the video. It's a long one tonight, but it's going to be fun. It's, again, ironically funny, but we really feel like everybody just needs to have a laugh. And we will turn our sounds down so we don't interrupt, and the movie's going to go on. So here we go. Is everybody ready? And sit back and enjoy. And I got to say one more thing. This is the first day I felt good in a month after shingles and stuff. I mean, I had a headache this morning, but it's the first day that I really feel sort of okay. So I just want to tell everybody that. Okay.
Well, you look great.
I look great because it's easy to do that on camera. All right. Well, here we go.
Okay.
All right, guys. Enjoy.
Coronavirus is spreading all over the world. At first it was in China, then it went to South Korea, then it went to Italy, and now it's just somehow hopped on an airplane and flew over here to America. So right now I'm going to show everybody how you can properly prepare yourselves so that you will not get the coronavirus. Now I know the professionals are saying, oh, all you need to do is wash your hands and make sure you don't put your hands near your face or your mouth. Oh really? How is that gonna stop one of them coronavirus zombies from walking up to me, coughing in my face, that coronavirus going in my mouth, down my trachea, and into my lungs? It can't. That's why you need to don the proper protective gear so that you will not get the coronavirus. Now, as you can tell, I am wearing a coronavirus-proof suit with a clear message on it that says, stay back 10 feet. And that goes for everybody, all right? Everybody, my grandma, my mama, everybody. I don't know who's got the coronavirus. And that's also why this is very important. This here is my corona stick. When somebody starts walking up to me, I will stick the stick out like this. And once they touch the tip of the stick, that's as close as they can get right there. Because that right there gives me enough distance to where if they cough, their coronavirus droplets will not make it into my mouth. Now, if they keep trying to walk, that's when you need to say, back. You need to get back. That way they'll know you ain't playing no games, all right? I will beat you with this stick if you keep trying to walk toward me, okay? My personal health is at jeopardy. You don't get near me. You stay back. Now, I also got my gloves here. Now, I don't wear no rubber gloves, all right? Them germs can't get through no leather. That's why you need to wear leather gloves. Now, this here is my most important part of my whole coronavirus suit. This is my ventilatory system. Now, a lot of people think that you can just wear one of them regular old surgical masks, but that don't work. Them coronavirus droplets are small, and they can get straight through them masks. But you know what the coronavirus can't get through? Plastic. And it can't get through my ventilatory system right here either. See that right there? That's bounty paper towel rolls. Nothing can make it through a bounty paper towel roll without getting caught. Now, I've also got my disinfectant spray on each side of my ventilatory system. That way, if I'm walking along and somebody walks up towards me and they start a coughing, I can spray my disinfectant in there and kill all them droplets before they get anywhere near me. Now, as you can tell, I've also got my disinfectant sprays in my holsters here. It is very important that you always have enough disinfectant spray, and you might not always be able to get to the ones at the top of your helmet. So you need to practice with these disinfectant sprays to make sure you as quick as wide earth pulling them things out your holsters. Let's say I'm walking through the grocery store and somebody sneezes. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is how you keep yourself safe from the coronavirus. God bless y'all.
Hello? Hi, Mr. Lee. This is Dr. Wassner from UAB Department of Medicine. Unfortunately, your PCR test came back positive for the Wuhan coronavirus.
Positive for what?
The coronavirus. So
What?
we're going to need
Coronavirus? Which one?
We're going to need you to
Like the one that's on the news right now?
Yes, that's the one. We need you to come in.
How is it possible? Like, I wasn't even there.
You don't need to be there. This virus is air-based, so if you're within 15 feet of somebody else, you can get
15 feet of somebody? Oh my god, I'm like literally like in the middle of everyone right now. Like, what the hell, bro? Like, how is this possible? You tell me. Like, what's gonna happen?
We need you to stay away from people as much as possible. We need you to find a respirator as fast.
Can't be possible. No, there's no way. This is no way. This is not real. I need some gas mask. Anyone has a gas mask? Whoa, what are you doing? What are you guys doing? Whoa.
You're being quarantined. Let's go.
What?
You're being
What? What'd I do? What?
All right, we're good.
Bro, what's going on here? What? Hey man, you got a lighter? Can I borrow it real quick? Yeah, man. Hi, man. What? What?
Let's go.
What? Did he say coronavirus?
Yes. Fast.
You know how many people I had to bribe to be here? To escape? Yes, I have a fever, but I have a show in London. Can't miss that show, I'm a professional. Right? You're all fucked, by the way. This coronavirus has given me a new superpower. I can go onto any train here and pretend to sneeze, instantly get a C. White people are scared of me now, you know? They use their children as a shield, you know, just take my son, I don't want him anymore. you're fucked because nobody here sells face masks.
I'm from the government with an urgent message about the coronavirus. We know many of you are confused. Some say it's no big deal. Italians are freaking out. The Chinese are hiding out. And Aussies seem to think the virus attacks your butthole. Medical experts have coined a scientific term to describe the situation we're now facing, a shit show. It's important to note that the shit show isn't caused by the virus itself, which we can manage, but rather by dangerous levels of egregious dumb fuckery spreading about the virus. Through forensic analysis, experts have traced the path of the dumb fuckery back to this malignant shit funnel, who said he's not worried about corona since it's no worse than the flu. One of the symptoms of dumb fuckery includes not understanding simple math, leading many to laugh off this virus for only having a death rate of about 2%. Since experts say the US alone could have 96 million cases, 2% of that comes to approximately a lot of fucking dead people. Of course, the death rate is much higher among older people. This has been largely dismissed due to another symptom of dumb fuckery, not caring about the elderly, or as experts call it, being an asshole. If left unchecked, this shit show can drastically worsen the impact of coronavirus by overwhelming a country's healthcare services. For example, the US only has 1 million hospital beds. Oh, and face masks will probably run out too. So as doctors and nurses get infected, there could also be a shortage of them. When you combine all that with a government that has no regard for science, a vastly uninsured workforce without sick leave, and millions of guns, you get what experts call a munted shit show. To avoid a munted shit show in your country, experts are now advising governments worldwide to be the exact opposite of America. If you're not already infected by dumb fuckery, we ask you to spread this graph among your friends and family, instead of bullshit memes. It shows how by flattening the contagion curve, we can slow down the spread of the virus so our hospitals and carers can cope. You can help flatten the curve by practicing hand hygiene, avoiding large gatherings, and phoning your doctor if you develop symptoms. Delaying the spread even by a month could prevent thousands of deaths, and not just corona deaths. It also means fewer deaths due to any emergencies requiring hospital care, which could mean you or your loved ones. And remember, if you do run out of toilet paper, Rupert Murdoch produces a wide range of bog roll replacements worldwide. This has been a message from your local government franchise. Goodbye. Authorised by the Department for Responding to Global Emergencies when they threaten the stock market.
Meeting with the Chinese government and working closely together on the coronavirus outbreak in China. My administration will take all necessary steps to safeguard our citizens from this threat. Now, the virus that we're talking about having to do, a lot of people think that goes away in April with the heat. Because of all we've done, the risk to the American people remains very low. People die from the flu. And this is very unusual. And it is a little bit different, but in some ways it's easier, and in some ways it's a little bit tougher. But we have it so well under control. View this the same as the flu. When somebody sneezes, I try and bail out as much as possible. It's going to disappear. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear. And from our shores, it could get worse before it gets better. It could maybe go away. We'll see what happens. Nobody really knows. The fact is, the greatest experts I've spoken to, nobody really knows. We're ordering a lot of supplies. We're ordering a lot of elements that, frankly, we wouldn't be ordering unless it was something like this. But we're ordering a lot of different elements of medical. Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. And this is their new hoax. If you're healthy, you will probably go through a process and you'll be fine. You take a solid flu vaccine, you don't think that would have an impact or much of an impact on corona? No. He's asking the question, when is it going to be deployable? And that is going to be at the earliest a year to a year and a half, no matter how fast we do it. I think that's right. Treatment will be available before that. Well, I think treatment in many ways might be more exciting.
Hi guys, did you like it? Oh, it was fun. It was fun. And I thought that everybody needed a laugh. So I just want to make sure my audio sounds good because lately it's been sounding weird when I listen back. So if anybody wants to just say, yay or nay how I sound, but okay. So
I think you sound great.
all right, let me get our names back up. who we are. And let's get going. We have a lot of stuff to go over. And welcome to whoever, Bumble Squid Smurf Card. Thank you for coming. A lot of wonderful people are here. So we're going to definitely get started because we have a lot to go over. So Jennifer Hynes, Sandy Schoelles, here we go. I'm going to put up the articles, and here we go. And we will start with the first one. Jen, I'm going to start off with this one, and we're going to tag team it because it's the most comprehensive. It really is a comprehensive one. Yeah. And there's a lot of questions brought up by it. Okay, so guys, listen up. Market Watch. Why don't we panic about climate change like we do coronavirus? And Jennifer had read it earlier. Short-term politics and human nature shape a bias to address only what's right in front of us. And I've been thinking about this for a couple of days, ever since all this started. And I don't know, somebody put the bug in my head. Okay, so because outbreak and pandemic and any of a dozen high-stake words accompany dispatches about the deadly novel coronavirus, it's not surprising nor ill-advised that the news media and financial markets respond with alarm to COVID-19. Still, critical response leaves scientists and environmental advocates and long-view money managers imploring, where's the impetus for moving on policy change and market-driven fixes? You know, solutions to store carbon, for instance, to limit a future environmental crisis, one on par with even greater than a coronavirus, and it already is. For one thing, the public may feel compelled to only respond to what's right in front of their faces. Americans are seeing coverage of the virus across the multiple media platforms in a consistent manner, which is bringing awareness and driving public concern. Monica Medina and Miro Corhena of Our Daily Planet. Not a bad little rag, that one. On the other hand, you've probably seen very little coverage that the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration predicts this year's flooding in the Midwest could rival last year's catastrophic flooding that claimed lives and also helped spread disease to livestock and people. Okay, Jen? I'm going over to you.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and finish up then for you, okay?
Tag team.
According to a recent study by the organization Media Matters, news shows on the major networks aired only 238 minutes of climate crisis coverage in 2019, which was actually up from 2018 significantly. But as a whole, made up only 0.7% of overall nightly broadcasts and the Sunday morning news shows. So that's pretty
and we don't
freaking
want to play him,
stunning.
Do we?
I'm so sick of
Oh no.
I really am. But the graphic is really good. Do you see that graphic down below the next one? Yeah, that little pie chart. That is so fascinating. In 2019, broadcast networks covered the climate crisis just 0.7% of the time. So that little green slice is 0.7% out of all of it, 100%. So not very much still. It seems like business as usual continues to dominate the airwaves.
It's the alternative media that we read, that we fact check, that go to the scientists that take it right from Nature magazine. You know, that's where we go.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. It's really brilliant, Sandy. It's true that climate change and its response appear in specialized media and occasionally crack the lineup of mainstream coverage. Investing giant BlackRock admission in recent months that climate change and sustainability would drive investment decision-making dominated financial outlets and cable television programming. Just this week, via the Associated Press, any interested reader could have learned that EU unveils new climate law, Greta Thunberg calls it surrender. So, as usual, Greta's speaking out in a very frank and unfiltered way. Thank God she just calls it like it is. So basically, she said, EU, your new climate law is surrender. So I guess she didn't think much of it. Yeah. The nature of risk matters greatly in how we react to it. Coronavirus can be considered a present threat over which there is a great deal of uncertainty about its scale and impact. There is a significant possibility that its long-term impact is negligible. So he continues, contrastingly, climate change is predominantly a future threat, but there is a high level of confidence that its long-term impact without intervention will be catastrophic for humanity. So they're just kind of talking about humans' abilities really to even deal with climate change because it's sort of in the future. And we're used to just kind of dealing with immediate threats in sort of an adrenaline sort of way.
Yeah, what's in front of our face. Other countries are different than we are. Actually, the other countries that we see that have the disciplined response, they're already disciplined countries. The United States isn't a disciplined country. We would go to pieces if some war was ever came onto our shores.
We're such a bunch of softies here in the U.S. I mean, it's really true.
It is. And, that's why maybe, wouldn't it be something if this was just the beginning of the population's understanding, Jen, of the need to say, okay, this has happened. We have, if they could put this with all of those other storms and all the horrific things, the fires, the storms, the floods that take more people's lives. And
if they could just dare to connect the dots, it's basically a conscious ignorance, like a purposeful ignorance, and they're disallowed really from connecting the dots. It's an insult to our intelligence as a species and as a nation that this should be the party line. Do not connect the dots. Basically, we're getting incredibly dumbed down. I mean, I just feel, just having Trump as a president, I feel dumbed down. I mean, he's just such an awful presence, and it's horrible that we even have to contemplate his strange reality. I mean, it's very strange.
I watched I watched him. He reads and I don't want to be like all critical of him. I just want to say that one thing is I watch him read these things and his heart's not in it, and it's all like a circle jerk of people self-congratulatory when nothing's been done. And Google didn't. This is not like going to go off online and you're going to put your personal health information into a Google thing you're going to pull up. This is in the infancy stages. This is fake, making you not feel safe fakely. I don't know how to explain it. It's just crazy.
Completely.
It's crazy,
It really
crazy.
is.
But, and like Veg says, dropping bombs on Iraq again, that's a whole thing going on while everybody's, running around buying toilet paper. We're bombing Iraq. And I read things on that and, supposedly we're retaliating. We were, we got hurt, but I haven't read the full story because it's really hard to get the full story. Jennifer. It's never easy.
Yes, we took the strange fork of reality. Somewhere out there, this whole thing didn't happen.
Yeah, it's not happening.
We're in the reality where climate change is gonna. I mean, we all here know how serious it is. I mean, it's a no laughing matter. We try and make this show kind of lighthearted because we all carry this weight because of our knowledge, because we study too much. And because we study too much, we are carrying the burden of understanding what the heck is going on Earth.
Yeah.
So this is just kind of a good place to process that too.
Right.
You want
to move on? All right. in the interest of time,
Yeah.
let us move on
Yeah.
to the next one. And that is the Inside Climate News. And they're pretty good. I find that they get their references are good. I always look at where everybody gets their stuff, you know? So
Yeah.
if I was writing an article, I would be going to a lot of the same sources. And who knows what my future holds. I don't know if I could write, but I sure would love to give it the old college try. All right, so do you want me to start, or do you want to start this one?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay.
You go ahead.
Harvard expert on environment and health discusses the possible ties between COVID and climate. Little bit of a different viewpoint, you know, from the first one. Air pollution makes people more vulnerable to respiratory infections. Climate change brings people in closer contact with animals that can spread the disease. So doctors and public health researchers are getting an increasingly accurate and nuanced picture of the many ways climate change damages human health. Now, questions have arisen about whether climate change contributed to the outbreak of COVID-19, whose spread the World Health Organization declared a pandemic on Wednesday. And what did the United States do it on Friday? Yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. For example, did habitat loss, driven in part by climate change, make it easier for pathogens to spread among wildlife and for the virus to jump to humans? Does air pollution, mainly from the burning of fossil fuels, make some people more vulnerable to contracting the illness? We spoke to Dr. Aaron Bernstein. He's a pediatrician and interim director of the Center for Climate, Health, and the Global Environment. That's a nice mouthful. At Harvard's T.H. Chan School of Public Health. He's seen firsthand how climate change can harm children, mostly through the burning of the fossil fuels. We asked him, oh wait, I'm not supposed to touch my face. Oh, I have an itch. I have an itch. Oh, I touched my face. Oh my God. Okay, let's get back to Earth. So we asked him about the ways that climate change might have played a role in the emergence of COVID-19, about any parallels between virus denial and climate denial, and about how to prepare for the inevitable next pandemic. A lightly edited version of our conversation follows. Jen, would you like to go for that a little bit?
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. A connection between COVID-19 and climate change doesn't seem obvious at first glance, at least to lay people. So could you explain the links that you see? That's the question that was asked. And the answer is, I think the strongest links I see are actually related, first of all, to air pollution and fossil fuels. As a source of air pollution, and fossil fuels, of course, are the major cause of climate change. The other connections I see are the way that we think about the environment as it pertains to health has gotten us into a rut with the emergence of infections like COVID and climate change. That link again. So let me explain a little bit more of what I mean by that. Okay. You look at climate change, you have transformed the nature of the Earth. We have fundamentally changed the composition of the atmosphere, and as such, we shouldn't be surprised that that affects our health. We have, as a species, grown up in partnership with the planet and life we live with. So when we change the rules of the game, we shouldn't expect that it would affect our health for better or for worse. That's true of the climate. And the same principle holds for the emergence of infections. So she's really making quite the link here. Mm-hmm. Do you want me to continue the rest of this?
Yeah, I'm playing around with sharing.
Sure. If you look at the emerging infectious diseases that have moved in to people from animals or other sources over the last several decades, the vast majority of those are coming from animals. Mm-hmm. And the majority of those are coming from wild animals. We have transformed life on Earth. We are having a massive effect on how the relationship between all life on Earth operate and also with ourselves. We shouldn't be surprised that these emerging diseases pop up. The principle is that we're really changing how we relate to other species on Earth, and that matters to our risk for infections.
Wow. I'd like to drill down into the 2 points that you made. So let's start with species and climate change. There are a lot of things that lead to habitat loss for species and bring them into closer proximity to human communities. Bulldozing a jungle can do that. But how does climate change play a role in decreasing the distance between wildfire and people? Well, to be clear, we should have played it. I asked the question, you did the answer.
Oh, I know.
Right?
We should. Do you want me to answer?
Yeah, why not?
Is that it?
Okay, I'll be the
Okay.
ASE.
Okay, you be the ASCII. Well, the thing is, there's a lot more to read in the answers than the questions, just
All
to
right, well,
let
we can
you
go
know.
back and forth if you let me know if you're talking, because this is a good article.
I'll see if I can manage to
And I
muddle
wanna
through
get
it.
through
It's
this
pretty
one 'cause
brainy
I thought-
stuff.
Yeah, this is good. Okay, I keep itching my nose. See, I have all right, forget it.
To be clear, we don't know with COVID, what role, if any, the climate effects that we're already seeing in species around the world may have had on the risk of this disease emerging. We know clearly that it had to do with a market in which animals were commingled. The bats and potentially pangolins? How do you say that word?
Pangolin.
Pangolin.
Yeah, the pangolin.
Okay. But
Never heard of pangolin
it's not
soup?
clear, for instance. Huh?
Pangolin soup. It's a delicacy.
Oh.
And the pangolin is it's an endangered animal, and they are illegally poached for their scales, it's horrible. In my opinion. Maybe not in China, but here to me it's horrible. Because any animal poached is horrible, so. Continue on, my love.
But it's not clear, for instance, whether bat migration patterns, which have been influenced by climate, have played a role. But we have other examples. We see this extraordinary migration to the poles. We're watching all kinds of life forms run away from the heat. And that has led to the spread of pathogens because animals that carry pathogens came in contact with other animals that didn't carry those pathogens, and there was a transmission. Ooh. The constraints upon animal migration because of habitat loss may force animals into closer proximity. The bottom line here is that if you wanted to prevent the spread of pathogens, the emergence of pathogens, as we see not just with people and COVID, but as well with wildlife, you wouldn't transform the climate. Because that forces species to come into contact with other species that may be vulnerable to infections. There are lots of forces, and habitat loss is a major contributor to it.
Wow. Okay, you asked me the question, I'll read the answer. Because this is fascinating to read this article.
It is. Okay. I want to go back to the original thing you said when I asked you to tease out these links to climate, and that is about air pollution from fossil fuels and how that affects human vulnerability to a respiratory element like COVID-19. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Well, sure I can. I should be clear, it's not just fossil fuels. Burning anything. So it could be indoor pollution from cook stoves. It could be burning agricultural waste. It could be burning wood. Oh, I feel so guilty now. It could be wildfire. Air pollution is strongly associated with people's risk of getting pneumonia and getting sicker when they do get pneumonia. We don't really have much in the way of evidence to show that connection with the COVID epidemics. So given what we know, it would be very surprising to find that air pollution didn't affect the risk of people either getting the disease or getting sicker when they do get the disease. And why is that? Well, we have lots of research. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's
All right,
fine.
we have lots of research that shows that air pollution, particularly particulate matter air pollution, increases the risk of people getting sick with bacterial and viral pathogens that cause pneumonia, and that people who are exposed to more air pollution get sicker when they get exposed to the pathogens. Okay, go ahead.
There seems to be a pushback in some quarters about the severity of the virus and its spread. And that reminds me of climate denial. I hear the echoes.
Absolutely.
I was wondering if you hear the echoes too between that pushback and climate denial. And what are those echoes if you do hear them?
Well, it's hard to know. I've certainly heard officials downplay the risks of infection in the face of people who I'd argue have stronger scientific credentials and are raising more concerns. It's hard to know where the lack of concern comes from. But it is certainly the case that the absence of science in discussing or trying to understand what's going on is really unhelpful. We have scientists who've made their lives trying to understand what happens to you when populations are exposed to diseases like COVID. And it would seem to me that we as a society would greatly benefit from listening to them rather than politicians. I'd encourage anyone to pick up on the Twitter feeds of and I'm on them, of the scientists who have spent decades researching these problems and see what they're saying. Ask yourself, if you were really sick, would you go to a politician or would you go see the doctor? Ms. Jen? Now you know my answer.
Well,
Geez.
I was thinking that we might want to mosey along,
Okay.
just because in the interest of time and the amount of articles. What do you say?
Okay, let's go
Shall
on
we?
to the next one. I'm fine. I thought that one was really good because it brought up so many
It
interesting
was.
topics, and I hope that the chat is enjoying this. Tell us if you are. Well, I'm sure you are. You're here, so that's good. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so this next article is from InsideClimateNews.org, and it's kind of interesting. A Harvard expert on environmental and health discusses possible ties between COVID and climate. So this is a Harvard professor who's done a little bit of analysis on this. I thought it was really fascinating. Air pollution makes people more vulnerable to respiratory infections. Climate change brings people in closer contact with animals that can spread disease. Did we do this one already?
No,
By any chance?
we did another one
No?
like it. I'm pretty sure we didn't do this one. Let me go down on it. Let me see. Plus side is there. Michael Lazarus, a model for long-term change. Some changes in response. No, I think it was a little bit different.
Was it?
Yeah, but we can move on if you want to because we have a lot to go over. So
Yeah, because there's like 3 or 4 more articles too.
And if this feels like it's repetitious, let's go on. The New York Times one. Now I'm not going to be able to show it, so you're going to have to handle this one because they paywalled me out, and I forgot to. I forgot to look for that password.
This is a very interesting one, and I got to say, the New York Times does a really good job on climate and thoughtful articles. So.
They have the money to hire the best.
Yeah, really a marvelous publication.
Yeah.
I'm just lucky that I have that subscription. I read them a lot. Social distancing. You might be fighting climate change too. Isolation and other shifts in behavior during the coronavirus outbreak could also alter our greenhouse gas emissions, but will the changes stick? So we all know that all these things have been happening, and basically China's producing about 25% less greenhouse gases as a consequence of the coronavirus. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
But it's probably temporary.
And everybody's asking about wants to talk about the dimming effect. We can talk about that after.
Yeah, and I think that's the most fascinating about the Chinese emissions going down, because clearly that is going to produce a dimming effect, and that's actually such an interesting thing to talk
It
about
is.
right now, since
Maybe
it's
we'll do
happening
our
globally right
yeah,
now.
we could do our show next week on that.
Yeah, I think we should. I
That's a
think we
whole
should do a
show.
little research on that.
All right.
Yeah. As the nation shifts abruptly into the fight against coronavirus, a question arises. Could social isolation help reduce an individual's production of greenhouse gases and end up having unexpected consequences for climate change? The biggest sources of carbon emission caused by our lifestyle come from three activities, said Kimberly Nicholas, a researcher at Lund University Center for Sustainability Studies in Sweden. Anytime you can avoid getting on a plane, getting in a car, or eating animal products, that's a substantial climate savings.
Yep.
Many people trying to avoid the coronavirus are already 2/3 of the way there. Christopher M. Jones, lead developer at Cool Climate Network, has an applied research consortium at the UC Berkeley Renewable and Appropriate Energy Laboratory, said all these extra precautions that schools and businesses are taking to keep people home are saving lives. And that's clearly what's most important. Having said that, he added that many of the actions people are taking in response to the coronavirus outbreak could have a benefit of reduced carbon footprint, though others would have little effect or could even expand it. Here are the 4 areas we may see changes in greenhouse gas emissions because of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Transportation number one, big reductions.
That's a good one.
People are staying home and flying less. That's good for the planet, said Dr. Nicholas. For average Americans, the biggest source of greenhouse gas emissions is driving, she said. Anything that reduces driving, including working from home, has a big impact on our climate pollution. Avoiding air travel can have a large effect as well. One round-trip flight from New York to London, she said, produces as much greenhouse gas emissions as the preventative climate impact of nearly 8 years of recycling. Put your head around that. I mean, you can recycle for 8 years and then you can blow that whole savings with one journey from New York to London.
Oh my God. Oh,
I know.
It's so unhappy sounding.
So sad. I know. So sad. Dr. Nicholas was an author of a 2018 study that examines greenhouse gas emission reduction in actions people take to fight climate change, and is currently writing a book about personal action and climate crisis. So do you want me to kind of go on with this, or was that enough of
No, I like
flavor?
this. Go. I want to hear a little more because I can't see it.
Do you?
Yeah, and
Okay,
I'm putting
sure.
up comments while you're reading, and everybody's enjoying it.
Okay, cool. The actual effects on your greenhouse gas emissions of staying home will greatly depend on where you live, Dr. Jones said. For the roughly 25% of Americans living in the suburbs and another 25% in rural areas, cutting out a commute often means driving far less. But about 50% of Americans live in urban areas, and for those who use mass transit, avoiding a commute doesn't necessarily cause much of a dip in emissions. The University of California, Berkeley has a suspended in-person instruction, and Dr. Jones said, I commute by train, and the train is going with or without me and everyone else, so I don't think there's an impact there. That's a good point.
Yeah, I like that. See, it was interesting, and I can't see it because they want my money or a password, and I have a password. So thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, because I don't have any money for the New York Times. They have enough for me. They should let me. They should let me have the disabled Porsche subscription.
They sure could.
The senior citizen person who looks good on video, but
Yeah.
Oh,
So I'll just kind of give you the big picture because they said that there were there were 4 areas and we just covered the first, but I'm just going to tell you what the other areas are. And then you tell me
yeah.
which one of them you want me to read, if any of it at all.
Okay.
So we just covered transportation, big reductions. That was kind of that area. Food, a big maybe. So you guys are going to vote. Do you want to hear food, a big maybe? At home, it's still location, location, location. So that's about like turning down your thermostat and things you do at home.
Anybody listening?
Shopping more or less differently. There's a section about shopping.
Well,
so
we're
those
all
are the
gonna
4
shop.
sections.
We're all going to shop because everybody feels like they need to have stuff to stock up and prep on. I mean, maybe that would be, I'd like to see their take on that. Because really, I mean, so much of this was, the joke about the hoarding and all that. So yeah, I'd like to see what they say about this.
You want to hear the shopping one?
Yeah. Yeah. If
Okay.
everybody, I mean, I can't get
Shopping
everybody else if
more,
there's a
less,
lag.
or
Oh,
different.
shopping. Okay. We got one shopping vote. I want to hear this.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, you do. Okay. If you're at home staring at your computer, or as we are, staring at each other, without the prying eyes of your coworkers, you may be tempted to shop online a bit more. Or maybe you'll avoid the supermarket or mass transit by ordering your groceries. A bump in online shopping might be bad for your wallet, but it could be good for the planet, Dr. Nicholas said. She cited research suggesting that people who decide to use online ordering and package delivery could well be reducing their effect on climate change, thanks to the benefit of logistically organized, centralized delivery routes and driving less. I would expect, in general, that having fewer vehicles on the road is better for the climate, she said. While online shopping can reduce greenhouse gases, it is most effective when you order in bulk to limit the number of trips delivery vehicles make to your home. Will any of the low carbon behaviors that people have adopted persist after the crisis passes, meaning the corona crisis, not the climate crisis, unfortunately.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could say that?
Oh my God. When I was first waking up to the severity of the complete debacle and tragedy of our lifetime and what's going on Earth, I kept thinking, oh, you know what? I'd trick myself sometimes and I'd wake up and I'd be like, oh, it's not really true, you know. I don't know if you ever did that.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, probably.
Like but it's kind of hard. It has a way of working its way into your brain, doesn't it?
Yes, because we are down here. We went down this rabbit hole. And everybody that's here with us. Either you're in the rabbit hole or you're learning the rabbit hole. But, I mean, because, let's see, we have quite a nice audience on Facebook, too. And I'm really happy tonight. This is really cool. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It is. It's great.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to see everybody.
It gives me something. It gives me purpose. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. It's
wonderful. Wow. Heidi was just saying, what about all the waste in the packaging involved in the delivery process?
If you guys have ever ordered online, I mean, there's a huge amount of packaging. So I don't know how they could say that's necessarily good for the climate because, I mean, the amount of packaging around some of these items is obscene.
I know.
You know.
You know what we're going to do with the cardboard? Because I do order some things online because it's easier for me since I can't carry anything or do anything. All the cardboard I have, we're going to cut into strips and then use that in between the raised beds. So we'll just take the cardboard and put it outside. Yeah, and I have. That's a good idea. I do have the netting also. I got to get my little Rent-A-Son Art to help because I can't do it, but he'll do it. And Doug then will do his thing and plant because it's getting to be that time, and I'm nervous. I haven't even ordered seeds, and I know the time is going to go poop, 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 and I depend on this stuff. So, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, what would you like to do next?
Well, let's see.
We have the one on coronavirus, the Climate Home News, the coronavirus. Let me see what time it is. We have also that new guy the new find for me. How come I can't see what time it is? Oh, it's 10 o'clock. Okay. So we don't want to be too long. I'm not going to play the video again after this. No, I'm not, because I'm going to post it on YouTube. So we have I'm going to show you what we've got. We've got the coronavirus, and let me take the names down so it doesn't look messy. We've got the coronavirus and climate change are two crises that need humanity to unite. We've got the coronavirus delays global efforts for climate and biodiversity action. So they're not gonna, it's just delaying because of the global mobilization for coronavirus is delaying the climate change efforts. Then we have this guy, and I think we should do this now because
I like this guy a lot.
This is a new person, George Sacraclides. I think it's
if you say so.
Clides. He's Greek. I'm gonna look it up phonetically so that I don't, because he friended me, and I'm like really interested in, like, I'm digging this guy, so I want to, I maybe we'll have him on with us. Hi, Kitty.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows?
He's an artiste. He really has like a poet's outlook, philosopher's outlook.
There he is. He's a young Turk. Oh my gosh, he's a young guy, but he just burst on the scene. I mean, at least to my scene, I'm still stuck on Umar Haik and some of the. I follow Carolyn, so of course I get some of my reading from her daily news digest. Do you get her daily news digest?
I do. Of course we do. I've been getting her daily news digest since 2013.
Oh boy, you're way ahead of me. I get it since 17. She's going to do a new workshop too. Carolyn Baker, guys, we're talking about, who is incredible. I'll put a link up. She's putting a new workshop out, and she's brilliant. So, for those of you who are interested, I'll put it out for you. I never seem to get myself together. So here we go. Do you want to start this one? Because it's really not long. And then it just takes you on to all his other stuff. And he's different and new and fresh on the scene. Different. Or I don't know where he came from. I didn't do all this background research, which I should have. But go for it. You can read and then tell me when you're ready for me to take over.
Sure. Okay. Let me see how long it is, and I'll divide it in half in my head so I don't read the whole thing up.
All right.
It looks like I'm just going to read the first two paragraphs, and then you read the last part.
Okay.
So this is called The Planet's EOT, End of Time. I think that's what he means by that EOT, right? Is that what he means? And Health Information System are onto us. Coronavirus may be causing a fever, but at the same time, it is bringing down a fever that has lasted for 300 years. The Industrial Revolution brought this planet to an unhealthy, feverish state, ecological collapse, habitat destruction, resource exhaustion, overpopulation, exploitation, and inequality, reacting exactly like an infected biological organism that has lost its internal balance. The planet's thermostat responded to the stress imposed by humans. Climate change was born. Woo!
Climate change.
Don't get too excited.
Whoops. I'm trying.
But this was only the symptom.
Oh, I got it. Go ahead. I'll shut up.
Got it?
Yes.
But this was only the symptom. The planet is much more intelligent than just getting sick. Like humans, it has an immune system. It consists of all the weather systems, ecosystems, biotic and abiotic processes that constantly cycle and collect intelligence, monitoring the planet's health. These processes are the EarthNet of things. EOT. Oh, that's what he means.
Yeah,
EOT is
EarthNet of
EarthNet of
Things.
Things. Oh my goodness.
Oh, he's
EarthNet
going
of
to give
Things.
us
I
a lot
love
of
this.
material. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
this is like a new concept. I've never even heard of those words strung together, EOT. Now we have a new like vocabulary word as of tonight.
Yes. And he friended me,
These
so we're new
processes are
friends.
the EarthNet of Things,
Yes.
EOT, of the planet, perpetually interconnected. They balance each other in such a way that if one thing goes wrong, if something seems to be out of kilter, such as CO2 or temperature, the other processes are triggered down the chain of command until a solution is found to bring the system back into balance. This is the planet's own health monitoring and information system. It may be complicated and it may take a while for human years to respond, but don't be fooled. It has eyes everywhere on the planet and can respond in mysterious and unpredictable ways.
We need
Take it
music for the
away.
back of this. Okay, wait.
Yeah.
I think I have some music.
We need like Halloween music.
Okay, wait.
You know.
I've got a glockenspiel. I've got an air horn. I've got a bicycle horn, and I've got a triangle. Oh, party noise. All right, let's get back to without playing. Some think that coronavirus can't possibly be a result of climate change or the planet punishing us. But this is exactly what it is. And those who deny this fail to understand the complexity of Earth's systems. It is a complexity that baffles even the most expert Earth scientists whose predictions about climate change keep being revisited. The planet's immune system is super intelligent. It may have taken a while, but it managed to finally pinpoint the source of all problems. It was a single species, humans, Jennifer. We aren't exactly a needle in a haystack, but Earth has found us, and it is trying to kill the cancer with the most specific therapy it could find. A molecule that is specific to our DNA, similar to how gene therapy works. It is a virus that hurts humans, and primarily humans. It's about time we begin to realize how intelligent our planet is. For us, it may seem that 300 years is a delayed response. But in geologic timescales, Earth sussed us out in no time. Yet we continue to disrespect it, to treat it as a non-sentient simply because it doesn't have a Twitter account. Well, it has finally sent us a message. And he has an article, Coronavirus is Earth's Message. And you guys, the link is it will be in there, or it is in there. There's some reading for you guys to do. So, what do you think, Jen? He says he's a molecular biologist. Woo!
I think he's really intriguing, and I like his face paint. Show his face at the top. He's such a interesting guy, and he's got this very interesting face paint kind of in his eyebrows and down his nose and
a molecular
lips
biologist, somebody new to learn about, younger, and like oh my gosh, great new scientist.
This is a voice. This is a new voice.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. What a voice. So let's see. Yeah. It's kind of late. I do have that one little video if you wanted to play it, but that little video was it was the real threat. Will coronavirus confinement fight climate change? Did you want to go out with that? Because I'm not going to use the other one. I'm going to put that up.
I think that sounds great.
All right, we could go out with it, or play it at least, and see what's going on with the chat. And thank everybody for coming, because it has been an hour. It's been a long one, and let me say, Jean, thank you for coming, and Keith Hayes and Edgar Reese. COVID-19 is an advanced delivery system with a somewhat inadequate payload. It focuses on the elderly beyond breeding age. If it were to mutate to be more fatal to younger people, watch out. Ooh,
Wow.
Edgar Reese, you just scared me. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, Jen, what do you got to say for
Yeah.
yourself?
Well, as much as we tried not to talk about coronavirus in the last couple of shows, it had to be talked about. I mean, this is the biggest thing happening on on the planet, and I like the articles you found that kind of linked up coronavirus and climate and kind of understanding it in the greater scheme, understanding its place, kind of relating it to climate and giving it kind of connecting the few dots in to kind of make it more meaningful. I think it's a fascinating thing. And I love this new guy that you found, our new voice. He's awesome. So I'm really happy that we had this show today.
Yeah,
and,
me too. Thank you, Heidi, for coming. She says, thank you, Sandy and Jennifer and everyone for all of your endeavors. We are the leaders who we have been waiting for. Holy shit.
Oh, wow.
That was
That's pretty
beautiful,
cool.
Heidi. Thank you. Thank you, guys. And Chris Foster's here, and you know what? He's up late because he's in Australia. All these years I thought I was an antisocial bastard. Turned out I was just being careful. We've got such a great bunch. CB says, we'll be home, can't go anywhere. Thanks, family. Yeah, a lot of us are going to sit home. My husband happens to be out in the woods this weekend. He'll be cutting more firewood that is down trees. And I don't think coronavirus is in the woods. Do you? And he's only with his brother. So I don't know. Are they going to? My husband's high risk, Jennifer. He really is. He has COPD and he had pneumonia at the end of January. And so, he works around a Jeremy school. I don't want to laugh about it. I'm not laughing about it. I'm figuring that they're going to shut the schools anyway. And probably as I properly name this, the planet is shut down. The planet is closed for business. And at that, I'm going to end and play a little video for you guys. That's only a minute. And I'm going to put up the other video if you missed it. And good night. And thank you so much. Jennifer, I love you.
Good
I'm
night.
going to put this video on.
I love you too.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. Okay, guys, let's find that video here. And let me get this back up here. Whoop, wrong thing. That was not what I wanted. Oh my goodness. Jennifer, did I lose my... Nope. I don't think so. Okay, I did not lose it. I think I did not lose it. I'm not sure. Here we go.
Is this the real threat? Will
I got
coronavirus confinement fight climate change?
All righty. See,
Okay.
I am the board op. All right, there we go.
These are quite fascinating times. What surprises me most is that the measures that we are ready to take to face this coronavirus are much more severe than the measures that we would be ready to take to face climate change or atmospheric pollution. Strangely enough, I think the death toll of the coronavirus at the end of the day might be positive if you consider the deaths from atmospheric pollution, for example. 84,000 people die annually in France because of atmospheric pollution, more than 1 million in China. Most likely the number of lives that will be spared thanks to these confinement measures will be higher than the number of lives that will be lost because of the pandemic.
But you understand, in the one case, it's something invisible. In this case, it's something that's palpable.
And I think this is something that should question us. Why are we so much more afraid of the coronavirus than we are of climate change or atmospheric pollution or other kinds of threat? What is so special about the coronavirus that we are ready to put the whole world on lockdown because of that?
There you go. All right, everybody. I'm going to shut that down.
Take care, everybody.
Good night. Peace. We love you. Let's put us back on and say good night. Peace out.
Good night.